Today,
It's a pleasure to be
as
here.
a lawyer, you're going to tell us, Patrick, introduce yourself the best way you would want people to know you.
Okay, thank you, Sheila. My name is Patrick Mugalula. I am a lawyer, as introduced by Sheila. I practice with the firm of Katende and Sempebwa, a full-service law firm, and it follows that I'm a full-service lawyer. However, my specialty is employment law, amongst other things, and other legal needs that you might have. So it's a pleasure to be here. Perhaps as we go along, I shall give you more of a background and more insight into what we do, but I hope that gives you some picture of who I am.
So you do employment law.
Exactly.
But you also do other things. So we say in healthcare, there are specialties.
Yes.
Gynecologists,
Yes.
there are cardiologists,
Yes.
there are those ones, but they're all doctors.
True.
So for you are a lawyer, but you specialize in employment law.
Exactly.
Exactly. That's
Yes.
why I want you here. I want to have you here. So they say that lawyers lie a lot. How true is that?
It's not true. It's not true. It's just that in this modern age, you need to present the truth in a more acceptable way. So we present the truth in a more acceptable way. To be honest, though, the majority of lawyers that I know are very honest people. That saying that lawyers lie a lot, it's not very true. I think it is one of those stereotypes that have developed over time, but we're very honest. In fact, if you lie and you're known to be a liar, your clients won't trust you, the court will not trust you. It ends up being a disadvantage on your side. So we're honest.
As a person.
Exactly. We're honest. And for those lawyers who are not honest, perhaps that's a personal failing on their part. Yeah.
Okay, you've defended the
I've
lawyers.
defended.
Already you've defended the lawyers.
They say if you can't defend yourself and your people, how can you defend others? So
I agree with you. So Patrick, I have books in front of me.
yes.
Dan Brown.
Yes.
It says Dan Brown, Angels and Demons. Have you read this book?
To be honest, I have not. I have watched the films, the very nice films, but I have not
There
read
is a
the
movie?
books. Yes.
Nice.
Yes.
Interesting.
Yes.
Okay. Maybe you can read this book.
Sure.
Then I have this book, The Bell is Ringing.
Yes.
Martin Alika's story.
Yes.
You've read this book?
100%.
Briefly.
100%. So briefly, it is the story of his life from the time that he was born during the colonial administration to a chief in northern Uganda, to his excelling in academia, going to the US, finding his wife, an American, coming back to Uganda.
He found the wife in America.
Exactly. He found an American while he was studying. They got married. They returned to Uganda and he set up a dental practice. Through that dental practice as a doctor, he was able to establish himself and he became a chairman of boards, a trusted advisor. He became one of the Africans who were nominating Ugandans to go and study on the British colonial bursaries in the US and in the UK. So he really, really established himself. And it's a good book that paints the picture of how Uganda moved from a colonial protectorate to an early young nation to the president that we actually have today. He tells all those stories of when he's in government, when he is in exile in Kenya. Really, really good book. And as a person who used to drink, he was once the board chairman of Uganda Breweries. And he
used to drink?
I used to.
You don't drink anymore?
I saw the light.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. Exactly. Yes.
So there is something here I'm saying, his student life. Nobody paid fees at Makerere.
True.
At the various governments took care of that. The government of Zanzibar went further, providing their students with a special diet.
True.
Mostly rice.
True.
Interesting. I should have lived
Exactly.
then,
Exactly.
so that I didn't have to pay fees.
Exactly.
Okay, getting back to our topic, we're talking about corporate reality checks. There is a time you contacted me and you had, I think, 300 people who are being dismissed. Was that called a restructuring?
Exactly. Yes.
And you needed an ambulance
Exactly.
to have. What was happening during that time?
Okay, so without disclosing the name of the
Not at all.
Yes, of the organization, this was an organization set up in Uganda. They had hired a complement of about 300 employees, and for one reason or the other, business had not gone as they expected. So they decided to temporarily, scale down operations, and that required our services as an employment expert to come and tell them that in order to let go of 300 people, there's a special procedure you have to follow in the law, and notices that you give them, you explain to them what's happening, and of course their legal entitlements, you give them to them, and you end the contracts at that point. Now, for us as an organization, it's not enough to say, have I met the law? I have to make sure that all the other things, psychosocial, mental support, everything that if it was me going through this sudden end of my job, what would I want to see in place? So that's why we're reaching out for an ambulance. We organized the structured collective termination of those 300 employees. I can tell you that terminating one person 9 out of 10 times, you're going to end up with disputes. For those 300 people, we did it without a single dispute. Organization was closed well, and they're moving forward. I think I don't know how true it is, but I hear that there are plans to scale back up in the next, in the coming future. So yeah.
So how possible is it that an employer decides to scale down 300 people at a go? Is this something that is questionable, their planning strategy? Because by the time you have more than 300 and you're taking away 300 people at a go, me personally, I would sue you for lack of strategy. Like you don't have a clear strategy. You've excited me. I left my job wherever I was to come to you for only for you to tell me, I don't know how long those guys had worked in that organization, that you cannot have me anymore.
True.
Is that a case?
I think, okay, so let me look at it two ways. The first thing is I am biased. This was my client, so I have to see things from their side. The starting point is that this was really something beyond the client's control. The client, it was owned by a company which ultimately had control in the US, and there were certain financial
Was it
movements.
like a franchise or they are subcontractors?
Exactly. More or less that a company in the US invests in an African entity that is doing this kind of business across the continent. When they take a hit in the US, the question is, can we afford to keep putting money in this company?
I get it.
Yeah, without having a solid foundation that's coming forward. So when they found themselves in that situation, they asked us questions that, one, should we try and, what we do in Uganda, we just do things anyhow and see maybe the money will come.
Yeah.
Or two, should we be honest with these employees and tell them, you know what? Exactly. For now, what we can afford is this. Let us terminate. When things pick back up, we'll come back for you. We've kept your names. Even when we're ending right now, we're going to first try and get you jobs in the competitors. We'll reach out to the competitors and say, Sheila was an outstanding marketing officer. Please consider taking her for reasons X, Y, and Z. Now, if your competitor you've been fighting with tells you that, you take it with a certain level of authenticity. Yeah. So to be fair, I think they tried to be honest. They didn't want to get a situation whereby people are left without a safety net, and that's why we did it like this. They paid over and above what people are entitled to show that we care, but this is what we can afford at the moment. But to your specific question, if an employer comes and they have no plan and they end up in this termination because they had no plan and they get the procedure of terminating wrong, you definitely have a case. You have a case, and maybe as I conclude, the court that you're going to or the authorities that you're going to see it as their mission to protect employees who are being mistreated like that. So you come and they'll say that the law requires 1, 2, 3, 4. Was it done? Yes. The contract requires.
They have to tick.
Exactly. Yeah.
It brings me back to employees understanding their contracts. I get a job today. I rush to sign because I have an offer.
Yes.
What is the importance of employees getting jobs to thoroughly read and understand their contracts?
Yes. Now this one, let me steal the exam for you.
Yes.
Yeah. So the truth of the matter is, despite the fact that lawyers primarily, we are trying to represent the employer and protect the employer, the employment law in Uganda is structured in such a way as to protect the employee and ensure that the employee's rights, because going into this relationship, the law knows that the bargaining power is not equal, right? So the employer has money to dictate terms.
Usually the employer has a higher bargaining power.
Exactly.
Because me, I am desperate. I'm looking at this job. I want it.
Exactly.
Tell me.
Exactly. So the law comes in to protect the employee. The law is saying that if you have not been given a certain right, if the employer has not said, I'm giving you this right, the law is saying that in the absence of that specific provision, the law has guaranteed it for you, right? So all of that is to say that while you're going into this employment contract, looking to the contract that you've been given, really it's the safest thing that you can do. I think the best way I can explain this is there are two kinds of doctors in this world. There are doctors who will help you throughout the day-to-day to tell you that if you eat like this, you'll be well.
Like the wellness doctors?
Exactly.
Yes.
If you eat like this, you'll be well. If you do this, you'll not get maybe a heart condition. If you do this, you'll not get, doctors like that. Then the doctors who come
And
at the
treat.
very end. No, at the very end. And they'll tell you that because you've lived a certain lifestyle, you now have these conditions, and now we have to intervene.
That's what I'm talking. The wellness one and the one who will treat you.
Exactly, exactly. So while you're going into the contract, you need to go to that first kind of doctor and say,
Yeah.
what do I need to have in this contract?
The
to
wellness
deliver?
one.
Exactly.
Yeah.
What do I need to have in the contract to have a long employment life, right? The doctor who's now this employment lawyer will tell you that, one, make sure that your pay has been clearly spelled out and they've said
Yeah.
that this is a net figure,
Yeah.
right? You may negotiate very well and you're negotiating a gross figure.
Yeah.